Morning. Maseches Bava Kama, Beis Amud Beis, in the bottom of the page. We are in the third line from the bottom of the page, and today's Amud is really Gimel Amud Aleph, but we are a little bit before that. The Kama of Puppet. Remember, we are in search of which Av is it who's told us are not exactly like him, right? We said the Av of Nezikin, the Avos Nezikin, the four Avos Nezikin. Some of them that told us are like them, and some of them that told us are not like them. So we said when it comes to Keren, then when the Keren is Rabbi said that some of the told us are like the Avos and some of them are not. We explored yesterday Keren, the sources of Keren, the definition of Keren, anything you wanted to know about Keren and never dared asking. That was yesterday, and Keren's told us seem to be like Keren itself. Why not? It's the same idea. So I should have told to be less than the father. In both cases, you should have to pay. If you damage, Shiur Nishmas of Menachem and Akiva. So looking for Shen Regel. V'chi Kama Rav Papa Shen Regel. Must be when Rav Papa told us not being like the father, the derivative, the byproduct, not being like the real thing, must be spoke about Shen Regel. And we know how to define Shen Regel by now. What's Shen? When it has physical pleasure, such as eating. Regel is when the animal just walks, and as it walks along, it breaks the kelim unintentionally and not unintentionally, with no malicious intention and no pleasure either. So, Shen Regel Echeksivi, the Tanya. Where is Shen Regel written? Where is it written in the Torah, Shen Regel? So I'm now reading the pasuk inside. You can look if you want. You can open the Chumash, Shmois Chavbeis Daled. There's one pasuk, and this pasuk is going to be our pasuk of the day. The Gemara is going to analyze this pasuk. The Gemara is going to break it apart and learn it 10 times over. You better know this pasuk by heart. Exodus 22:4. Yeah, Shmois Chavbeis Daled. Ki Av'er Ish Chavbeis Daled. 22:4. Ki Yav'er Ish Sode Oy Cherem. If a man is Yav'er does not mean it's going to burn. Be'iro means his cattle, his livestock. Ki Yav'er Ish Sode Oy Cherem. If a man Meva'er means he does something with the animal. We'll discuss what later. V'shilach es be'iroi. And he sends his livestock. Ubier bisdeh acher. And then again the word bi'er appearing for the third time, ubi'er bisdeh acher. And then the livestock, what do they do once they were sent to the other person's field? Bi'er bisdeh acher. They consume everything. Leva'er is to fully consume the produce of the other field. Oy, 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 oy. What happens then? So they ate up the whole thing. Mitav sadeu, mitav kama yishalem. So the person, the mazik, the owner of the animals, has to pay with the best of his fields, or the best of his kerem, the best of his vineyard. Okay? So what does that mean? Okay, says the Gemara, the Tanya. V'shilach ze haregel. It says V'shilach. When the Torah says V'shilach es be'iroi, he would send off his be'iroi's animals. That means Regel, the type of nezek that they create is when he sends them off. What did they do when they were sent? Sent what? Sent an email, sent an SMS. What was sent over here by the animals? He sent that is Regel, damage done by the foot, just by walking, by trampling. How do you know? How do you know that that's what Mashalech means? I'll bring you a proof from the Novi. And the Novi can give us dictionary definitions we said yesterday. What does it say in the Novi? Meshalchei regel hashor ve'achamor. Those who send off the regel, the feet of the shor and chamor. Regel, walking. So we see the juxtaposition between shiluach and regel. So we see that to be meshaleach, the regel means to the animals walk and does their mazik. Okay? Ubier, zo Hashem. Bi'er, leva'er, I told you because I already gave it off. I already told you the end of the story. But the Gemara didn't know the leva'er means to eat. because it needs a source for that. And it says in different pasuk in the Novi, speaking about the house of Yerovam, against Yerovam, that his entire household is going to die. It says, Kasher Yevaer Hagalal Ad Tumoi, until the Galal Mevaer finishes it off till the end. And what's Galal? Tooth. We said yesterday, the tooth or many teeth. Galal means the one that's covered, or sometimes Megule, uncovered. Which part of the body usually sometimes covered, sometimes uncovered? The teeth. The person smiles, here's the teeth. Otherwise, you don't see the teeth. Okay? So then, Yevaer Galal Atumo, that is to say, the Levaer is juxtaposed with the tooth. Okay, also Galal, by the way, something very interesting. Galal, we know in Hebrew means what? Means feces, not Gal. Galal is Galalim, Galali Behema. Galalim is, excuse the language, excrement. So it says the tooth is the first station, the Galal is the last station. Rashi says that, yeah? In other words, that's the first step of becoming Galal. You have this delicious food, you bite into it, remember at the end it's just going to be, it's good for the typhus, you know? In any event, but we see that you get a lot of mussar here and there in Bava Kama, you know, from between the lines. So in any event, so that's how we know. So again, let's read again the pasuk. V'shilach es be'iroi. He sent away his livestock. V'shilach means what? We found a dictionary definition in the Novi. Shilach means by feet. They're just trampling and destroying everything by walking. And then it says later, Bi'er bisdei acher. Bi'er means he consumed with his mouth, with his teeth. He ate it all up. They ate it all up, the animals. So these are the two nezikin mentioned in one pasuk. One pasuk tells you two Avos nezikin. Now we're going to have excuse the pun, a field day in the field. The pasuk is all about fields. We're going to have a field day analyzing this pasuk. And of course, the Zoom is giving me a hard time. Weiter. Amar says an anonymous Amoiro. V'shilach zu regel. Shilach means the foot, they're trampling by feet. And I have a source from the Nach. It says, those who let their shor chamor, the oxen and the chamor and the donkey, to walk about. Time, the Gemara has this question, do I need a pasuk for that? The only reason why I know V'shilach means Regel is because of this pasuk. You need a pasuk to import a pasuk from the Novi. Halav hachi. If not for that, b'may mukmasla. If not, we know that there are three Avos nezikin. What kind of other nezek is there? How would you mukmas? How would you explain? This case. What would it be? By default, that's what the Gemara is doing now. Is exactly what we call in modern language default. Ikeren ksiv. If this variable, this x in the equation, this variable, ikeren, if you want to tell me this is keren, it's already written. Keren, we've discussed at length the whole story yesterday. Ishen ksiv, if it's tooth, it's written already, because we know bi'er means tooth. So by default, the third nezek must be regel. What other way is there for an animal? What kind, logically, think logically, with your head, with your mind, what kind of other prototype of nezikin is there? Must be regel. So if keren is written in A and shen is written in C, must be the middle place, which is v'shilach, must be by feet. So why do you need a pasuk from the Novi? Answers the Gemara, I do need to, the Torah does need to tell us this, otherwise I would have thought something else. Salka Data Chamina, Samech Daled Aleph is acronym Salka Data Chamina. Very good, I would have thought, Idi V'Idi Hashen. If I wouldn't have known from an exterior source that V'Shilach means the feet, I would have said that Shen has two avos. There are two types of Shen, of Nezek of Shen. V'hod mechal yakarna, hod lo mechal yakarna. I would have said like that. Sometimes when an animal eats, it's mechal yakarna. It finishes up, it consumes up everything down to the keren, to the capital, the root. It eats up the whole thing, gone. Gornish, mitnish, you have nothing left. Farmer McDavid, the neighbor, has zero left after the neighbor sent his animals to him for a nice lunch. But sometimes lo michal karna. Sometimes shen means the animal has a nice supper, a nice lunch, but the stem or the root remains and is going to grow later, but not as good. It's going to grow later and not now. It's less of a nezek, still a nezek. So if, and now bi'er, as we said, means to consume, right? So I would have said like this, bi'er means fully consumed. The shilach es be'iroi, we're now looking, by the way, I don't know if I stressed it enough, the pasuk which is now under question mark, it's a variable, like a big X in the middle of the equation, is what does the shilach es be'iroi mean? He sent his kettle. Let's say there wouldn't be a pasuk in the Novi to translate that for me. Let's say the math teacher wouldn't give me the answer. Yeah, what's the shilach es be'iroi? You want to tell me it's automatically understood to be feet, just trampling over with your foot? No, not with the animal's foot, lav dafka. I would have said the shilach es be'iroi means that they ate, they were sent away and they ate, but they did not eat everything, they ate some of it, and they're still chayav. There will be a chiddush that even though the animal did not really create a terrible, irrevocable damage. Let's say it had some lettuce, and the lettuce is going to regrow. I'm not such a farmer. I'm going to say, yeah, whatever. Something's going to regrow in 2 weeks' time. So the farmer would say to his friend, listen, my animals, I didn't do it. Remember, all of Bava Kama is a chiddush. It's a groma. I didn't do it. I was in the middle of learning. Oh, I didn't see what the animals were doing. And what's your story? Oh, come on. So 2 weeks, you're not going to have lettuce. In 2 weeks' time, it's going to grow. Don't be such a nitpicking, stupid. Havamina, that would be maybe because it's not keren, it's not consuming the whole thing, it's not beer. Maybe I would have said, no, you're not chayev. Kamash malan, I would have said, no. Oh, the pasuk, v'shilach be'iro, is telling me that even a nezek, which is halfway nezek, where the teeth, it ate up, not everything, but 90%, is also called a nezek. Kamash malon, comes the Torah and tells me, no. Comes the Bryce and tells me, no. The shilach es be'iroi does not mean the partial nezek of shein of eating. It doesn't mean that. It means what? It means walking. But I need somebody to tell me that, and that someone is the Navi, Mishalchei Regel, Hashor v'Achamor, and the Bryce that brings them together. So therefore, we so far have 3 nezikin. We have keren, that's old stories from yesterday, and we have a shilach es be'iroi, which is walking by foot, and we have bi'er, which is the teeth that consumed everything, leva'er like bir chometz, like a wife does Pesach cleaning. Yeah, bi'er, complete consumption. That's it. Frag the Gemara, wait a minute. Now you open my eyes to a whole new story. The Gemara now is like a little child who discovered a new toy. Wait a second. The line starts with the word karna. V'hashta de'ukimna regel. Now that you have explained, we were mukim is a better word in English. You qualified the word b'shilach es be'iroi as regel. If so, wait, you just brought into, you gave me ideas that there's a thing called shen, which is not full nezek, right? It ate the lettuce, 90%, it's going to regrow. It had some nice, grapes, and the grapes are going to grow quickly in a month, how do you know that I'm chayiv on that? Maybe really I'm potter, because it only says bi'er. Bi'er means full consumption. Frag the Gemara, shen, deloi mechal karna, minolan. Now, the shen, which is not full consumption, but only 90%, let's say, the capital of it, the root was not eaten up, how do you know that you're chayiv? Really, how do you know? You remain sourceless for that, right? Why? Shilach es be'iroi, you said from the Novi, means walking. The animal's just walking all over, not eating anything. He doesn't like, courgette. He's just walking all over it, yeah? And the other pasuk is telling me, the animal ate everything up, you don't see any remnants. So how do you know that I'm chayiv and my animal ate halfway? There's no pasuk for it. And says the Gemara, dumi de regel. It's called in Lashon HaKodesh, Hekesh. It's similar to Regel. It's called Hekesh. Regel and Shen are in the same pasuk, very, very close together. Mamash, the same sentence, the same syntax, yeah? The Shen is like Regel. Ma Regel lo yishno mechale karna, v'lo yishna lo mechale karno. Just like with the Regel, it doesn't make a difference whether by walking on the item, by the way, it could be vessels, some nice china plates, or it could be the tomatoes. It doesn't make a difference whether by walking all over it, it completely destroyed it or partially destroyed it. How do you know it does make a difference? Says Rashi, because it doesn't say bi'er. Shilach as bi'er just means sending, walking. Doesn't say consumption. Avos Shen, lo shna mechalekano v'lo shna lo mechalekano. So to Shen, which in our Kurlis is called juxtaposed, just like Keren, just like Regel, does make a difference whether it was full destruction or partial destruction. So to Shen, which is a good neighbor of Regel, and Mamish neighbor is the same pasuk, Mimelo also by Shen, does make a difference whether the animal completely consumed it or did not consume it completely, down to the ground zero, does make a difference, and this is the source of Regel. Rashi has a question. If we have time at the end of the Shiur, I'll read you a Rashi, which is a very interesting Rashi, which is a Rashi, this style of Rashi appears many places in Shas. I want to continue now to have some kind of continuity, and then maybe we'll go to Rashi at the beginning of the page. Another statement by an anonymous Amoiro. Ubier zo Hashen. Yeah, what did we say in the Brisa? The second part of the Brisa, bi'er, consumed means consumed with the teeth. And we have a source for that. Just like the tooth finishes up, consumes up, eats up everything, ad tumo, all the way to the end. Doesn't leave behind one crumb. The Gemara now asks the same question as before. The only reason you know what it means is because the pasuk, you have imported a pasuk, a dictionary definition that says yiva'er ad tumo. So now I know that shen, yiva'er, means by tooth, by eating. Very nice. Halavachi, if not for that, which other option do you have? By default, I would have known it anyways. Why? Keren ksiv. Keren is already written. Regel ksiv. Regel, we have now explained very extensively, very nicely, what shilach hasbiro is regel. So now the variable now, it's the same formula now. Before we spoke about x, now it's the y. Now we're looking for the definition of the word bi'er. Bi'er, which we know is consumed, because I told you that, that's why you know it, yeah? How do you know it means consumed? Because the pasuk says consumed with a tooth. Says the Gemara, why do you need that? By my own logic, I'll figure out the equation. You're not used to do equations in math? Really? Yeah, so then I would figure out myself. It's the only option that's left. Keren is written, Regel is written, so by default, Shen is the only one that's left behind. So that's what it means. That's what the Torah means when it writes Bi'er. And says the Gemara, I do need to tell you the pasuk from the Navi, and I would have not deduced it otherwise. I wouldn't have realized it otherwise. Similar to before. I would have thought that Shilach es be'iroi and Bi'er both talk about Regel, both talk about animals walking around, just walking, and thus destroying the whole area. Now, there are two types of Regel. What are the two types of Regel? Ha de ozel mimele, ha de sholach shluchi, which means there are two ways how your animal would go to your neighbor. Either ozel mimele, when they're by itself, you're drinking your tea and learning your Gemara, or maybe you're online, or maybe you're talking to someone on the phone, yeah, you are engaged in something. The animals walked while you did not notice, mister, you're just irresponsible. The other person is worse. He deliberately sends his animals there. Listen to the pasuk with this havamina of a new understanding. What's v'shilach es be'iroi? On purpose. U'shilach otam. He sent them. V'shilach es be'iroi. He is on purpose. That neighbor, you know how many times he built his sukkah at 12 o'clock at night? Do you know how many times he's screaming at my kids? Do you know how many times he disturbs me to sleep? Do you know how many times he did not pay vad bite? He paid vad bite once. Vad fields, yeah? I'm going to take my animals and tell them, hey, Rexy, hey, whoever, all the cows, just go there and have your lunch. And you know, it's okay. I think it's morally right. In other words, this person is Meshalech on purpose. Shilach is be'iroi. And bi'er means by itself. Bi'er bi'er doesn't mean consume necessarily, unless we know it from the Navi. Bi'er could mean a behavior of an animal by itself. The animal behaved like an animal. Be'iroi is his animals. Bi'er means they ate by themselves. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was just reading the Yated Ne'eman. I was reading online. I was reading something so choshuv. Yeah, and I didn't notice that all my animals went there. oh, these are two behaviors of Regel. I sent them to walk there, or what? Or they walked by themselves. So I would have thought V'shilachas bir or bir are two derivatives, two byproducts of what? Of Regel, and Shen would have remained bereft. Shen, I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known that you're chayav on Shen. Yeah, maybe you're not chayav on Shen. Maybe the Torah is not chayav on Shen. Don't give me faces. Because again, each and every word here is a Chiddush Torah. It's not automatically understood. You should realize that and just insert it in everyone's mind. It's not automatically understood because of some kind of moral idea that because my property did something bad to your property that I'm chayiv. Only when the Torah says so, that's when I know it. So maybe if the Torah doesn't say I'm chayiv on Shen, my animals ate. What do you want from me? My animals have to eat and I can't control them. Big taiva. Have you ever, you went horseback riding? One of the most annoying things is the animal starts eating and it's very, even if you're an experienced rider, it's very hard to get it away from the food, yeah? He wants to eat. If it's hungry, then and you want to continue, it's hard. So then, Bekitzer, it's Shen, what can I do? Maybe I'm Potter. Kamash Malon, the magic word, KML. Kamash Malon, what? Comes the Torah tells me, yeah, it sounds like an airline or something. Yeah, what? That Kamash Malon, no. Really, the Novi tells us, Kasher Yivaer Hagolol Ad Tumoy, just like the tooth consumes Mevaer Tumoy. Now the light bulb comes. Now comes the Torah and gives me a dictionary definition for the word Ubi'er to tell me Bi'er means what? Bi'er means consumed with a tooth. So V'shilach Hasbiro means Regel, and Bi'er means the tooth. Give me 1 minute from your patience because now we have to close the circle again. Says the Gemara, oh, you open new vistas in my mind. Oh, you tell me that there's a potential difference between me sending the animals there on purpose, just go and destroy this guy's field, or them going on their own. Maybe if they went on their own and Potter, there's no source for that. Right? The shilach as v'hiroi means what? Sent on purpose. Shilach, go there and destroy this person's field. And what? Bir means tooth. So how do you know that if I just sat and drank my coffee peacefully, and I love my neighbor, really, and they went on their own, I'm so sorry, I didn't notice. How do you know that I'm chayiv? There's no source. And so the Gemara is similar to before. Shen and Regel, they have very, very good close partnership. They're close at the hip. Hashta, the Uki Hashem, frag the Gemara, Regel, the Oslo Mimela, Minolan. How do you know that if the Regel went Mimela by itself, how do you know that I'm chai for what animals did on their own? It's not written in the Pasuk if they just went there on their own. Animals have minds of their own. Do answers the Gemara, do me the Shen, just like Shen. Ma Shen loshna shilcha shluchi, loshna de ozal mimele. Just like by Shen, Bi'er does not describe how the animals got there. The word Bi'er, which is the kingdom of Shen, just said they consumed everything. Yeah, but it doesn't say who brought them there, how they came there. So mimele by Shen, no difference whether they came on their own or I took them there. They consumed, I'm chayiv. So by Shen we did not find that difference. Shen is generalizing and including all kinds of initiatives of how the animals got there. So to Regel, same thing. There's no difference whether I sent the animal there or if it went by itself. Okay, thank you for your patience. Let's just do a very quick and clear summary. Shen and Regel are partners. This is the last thing before this round of questions, and then we'll continue. Shen and Regel are written in the same pasuk. Each one is describing a different scenario, which was very particular. In Regel, it describes a person who, on purpose, shilach, he told his animals, go walk there. Good girl, Bessie. Good girl, Lassie. Go walk on McDavid's field. He's going to know what it does mean not to pay vad bite and wake me up every 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, go for that girl. Yeah, that's the shilach. Now, BM is talking about Shen. What kind of Shen? Total consumption. But if the animal ate half, we don't know. So how do we know? So each one is talking about one particular thing. How do we know that if the animal by Regel went by itself without my bad intention, And how do you know that Shen, even if he didn't consume everything, are chayev? From the partner. Just like by Shilach, by Regel, he doesn't differentiate between full damage or partial damage. So too by Shen. It's just like by Shen, there's no difference whether I sent my animal to eat there or he went by its own accord. So too by Regel, there's no difference. However, the animal got there. We don't care if your animal is walking on your friend's field. I don't care if you love him or hate him or bad bite. I don't care about your stories. You got to pay him even if the animal went by itself. Each one, Shen and Regel, is teaching a detail for the other one. Regarding the other one, thank you. And soon we're going to have a very important question, but you've been waiting a long time. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, where are we? Okay. The line starts with the word shno. Shinun Aleph. Yeah, Shinun Aleph. We are in, okay, it's different, yeah, Velichtov. We're a little bit above the middle of the page. The Gemara now has a very innovative idea. The Gemara now wants to save on words for the Torah. The Torah is very miserly when it comes to words, yeah, very thrifty. So the Torah could have avoided a few words here. Frag the Gemara, Velichtov Rachmono Veshilach, Velo Bayu Bir. Just write Veshilach as Be'iroi, and the word Be'er, you could have erased. The word Be'er is redundant. Just write Veshilach as Be'iroi, Bizdei Acher. How does Veshilach and Be'iroi would help? How would it have helped? The Mashma Regel u'Mashma Shen, because Shilach means both. I'll give you now, you want to give me psukim, dictionary definitions, Novi? Look, I'll prove to you that the word Shilach actually could mean both Regel and Shen. Look. Mashma Regel, Dichtiv, Meshalche Regel, Bava Kama. That we already seen. Regel is Shilach, Meshalche Regel, those who send the feet of their animals, the bull and the donkey. Mashma Shen, look, the word Shen also is juxtaposed with Shilach, Dichtiv, V'Shen Behemos Shalach Bam. It says that actually is in Hazinu. V'Shen Behemos Shalach Bam. I'll send towards them the teeth of the animals. So you see the tooth of the animal is Shilach. Oh, so just write Shilach, and then that will include both. Answers the Gemara, no, you can't just say the Shilach to take care of both. Because Ilav Kro Yisera, if not for the extra pasuk that tells me that beer means tooth, if not for the extra one that's particularly only for tooth, Havamina, I would have said, Oiho, Oiho. I would not have automatically interpreted Veshilach as both Shen and Regel, even though it can tolerate this meaning, but I wouldn't have said this. Why? Oi Regel de Zekoi Motsui. I would have said, wait, the Torah is leaving me one box for one nezek. You know which nezek is worse? Regel. Regel, the hezek is very matzu. What's matzui? Common. It's very, very common. It happens all the time. Animals apparently walk more than they eat. Depends which animals, I guess. I guess the sheep, the cows, they walk and walk. They don't always eat. Pigs eat all the time, not other animals, yeah? So I would have said, maybe Regel, the nezek is so common, we say, hey, yo, excuse me, mister, look after your animal. It's walking all the time. You know it's happening all the time. Make sure to keep your animal out of my field. I would have said that's that makes sense to define, to include this nezek in the word shilach. Or Shen. On the other hand, it would have said, no, maybe not. Shen deyeshano lezekoi. Or maybe I would say, no, only Shen. Only Shen. There's room only for one. Shen. Shen, there is enjoyment. There is fun and pleasure from the nezek, which means two things. I would have said that's worse than Regel. First of all, your behemoth has more of a yetzer hara. A behemoth walking around is not a yetzer. It happens. Maybe you can't stop it. It's walking. What can you do? But eating, the animal is doing a special thing, a whole special new action, starts eating off the ground. Stop it. You know that it has strong yetzer hara for that, so you should stop it more. And also, you benefited from me. That's also a factor. So maybe only Shen. So I wouldn't have known which one to put there on the chair of the musical chairs. So that's why we need another pasuk. Says the Gemara fakert. Says the Gemara, no. This chair has room for both. Not like in the kindergarten game. Michdi shkulinhen. They're both the same. At the end of the day, if both Shen and Regel both can be explained, they can both, so to speak, bear the definition. They can be explained as Shen, Regel, both are under Veshilach, yeah, grammatically speaking. And mitzad the chumrah, they're both equal. They both have one one more severe side and one more lenient side. Avos Shen, learn them both. You can learn both of them from the same pasuk. Why not? Which one of them would you take out? It's not like musical chairs, only one chair and two kids frustrated around it. No. The chair can fit both. They can both sit there. There's room for two. Because the dictionary definition of shilach means both shen and regel. Because shen, the shen be'emes shalach bam. Mitzad, the level of chumrah, each one has a pro and a con. So get them both together. They both fit under that definition. What's wrong? Why do you need a special pasuk for shen ubier? Answers the Gemara, no, I do have to tell me, you do have to learn a special pasuk. The Torah has to tell me, write an entire new, not pasuk, entirely new word to tell me about Shen. Why? Salkadaita chamina, SDA, Salkadaita chamina, Hani Mili, I would have thought, Eicha de Sholach Shluchi, remember that? Coming from the back door. Sholach shluchi. What does the pasuk say? Shilach is beiroi on purpose, maliciously. He sent his animals there. So if you only pasuk would be shilach without to beer, you would have only known shen and regel. True. Only if I did it on purpose. If I told Blessy and Bessie and Shmesi, I would have told him, hey, go for him and walk all over him, or I told him go and eat everything on purpose. But Azla Mimela, if the animals went on their own initiative, on their own accord, while I was listening to music with my eyes closed doing yoga, I was in the middle of a yoga session, and the animals are walking on their own, Mimela, loy, I would have said maybe I'm Potter. I wouldn't have had a source. I didn't do it on purpose. Kamash Malan. Now we have another pasuk that says Ubier. Bier means two things. Bier means tooth. What kind of nezik of tooth by itself? Bier means not with my initiative. Bier means it happened by itself. Bier. It just happened, obviously, by the animal's initiative, by the animal's own accord. And therefore, we say, very good. Now we need the two psukim. The shilach is be'iroi. Now, once we already have bier, we also have a source for shen. Bier means the automatic one without the owner's initiative. Bier also happens to be like we're taking a ride already, and we already learned from that pasuk shen, because bier means to consume with the teeth. Now everything's fine. As we explained before, v'shilach has bier means regel. Bier means shen, and it happens by itself. How do you know that? And all qualities of shen v'regel are equalized because they're both together. They're partners. They share everything. They're BFFs. Those of you who have teenage girls, you know what BFF means. Yes, no, fine. Not SSB, that's something else. Sometimes BFFs are best friends forever. That's what it means. Forever means until she hurts her feeling in 2 days' time. Yeah. Okay. Usually. Questions or comments? No? Oh. I want to now go back to the Rashi. And let's read Rashi. Remember what we said before. I'm now reading inside Rashi, and you're welcome to join me. Rashi, go to the top of the page in Rashi, and go to the narrow lines, the Ikasha, the fourth narrow line in Rashi. Right after the four wide lines, the narrow lines, the fourth narrow line in Rashi. The Ikasha, there's like a little circle there, then it says Vikasha. Remember what we said before? We said, let's do a small revision. We said that if the Torah would have told me Ubier, the Shilach, Ubier, without the extra definition from the Novi, I would have thought there are two psukim. One pasuk is telling me Shen, where he was completely consumed, Bier, down to ground zero minus, everything. And the other pasuk, the Shilach Esbiro, means that they ate, but they're a bit more gentle. They left behind the capital, the Keren, which means the root, let's say. The question is, what kind of logic is that? Frekt Rashi, Ve'ikasha, if you want to ask me, how could you say such a thing? Both psukim are talking about Shen, about eating up. One of them is talking about when he fully consumed everything, and one of them is the left half. How is that logical? Lichtov chad, write only one pasuk. Leichad lo michalia, write one pasuk and explain it to be when the animal ate 90% of the food. Delichayev, and you chayev, and then I would know with my own logic, I would have known v'koshik and echad dekalia, all the more so. Tell me the more mechudesh one, the more lenient one, that if the animal went to someone's field and consumed 90%, it's chayev, and I would have known that koshik, and if it consumed 100%, why do you need to psukim? Write one pasuk. I would have connected it to the less chomer one. Koshik and kal v'chomer, needless to say, all the more so, that the more chomer would be chayev. If it ate up everything, why need to psukim? That question appears a few places in Shas. Also, Tosha v'sochir by Kohen. We're not going there now. Answers Rashi, and it's the same standard answer, the same genius answer again and again. Answers Rashi. Im hai kro. If you would have left me one pasuk, and that pasuk is not very, very clearly telling me what it means. The shilach es beiro means they sent and they ate. Let's say it means they ate. How would have I interpreted the word ate? Fully consumed. Hava amina, I'm reading in Rashi now. Hai osilecha de mechalia. If there would be only one box out of two boxes, you want to give up one box, you want to stay with one box, one variable, I would have automatically learned my own logic that he means a more severe case, when it ate up everything. And I would have still said, if he did not consume everything, I don't know that it's chayev. Get me? Therefore, that's why the Torah purpose left me two boxes to talk about Shen. Yeah, one pasuk. Once I know there are two boxes, there are two cases, one beer, one not beer. Now I know. Also a situation where it's not full biur chometz, biur of the tomatoes or the cucumbers. Even then, also I'm chayev. But for then I need two boxes, because if I only had one box, I would have automatically, logically, right away magnetize it to the more chomer case. It says v'shilach has beiroi, and you tell me means eating. I would say, eating means eating everything. But if it ate half the lettuce and it's going to grow up quickly again, no, what's the story? I would have connected it to it. That's why dafki you need two boxes. Only once you have two boxes, then you're smart enough to know one of them is for the severe case, one for the less severe case. Now, and by the way, the maskana anyhow wasn't like that. In any case, the maskana was what? That the word v'shilach is beer is talking about Regel, and beer is talking about Shen, and we know everything, or almost everything, and there is a cue here. The first one is Peretz. Peretz, you are returning the lost glory of the British Empire. Yeah. Are you serious? Okay, told the Kamash Malan. The line starts with KML. Two dots. Kamash Malan told the Shen Mahi. What is the derivative, the tolda of Shen? What's a byproduct of Shen? We spoke about it. Nischakcha b'koisel hanaoso. It rubbed itself like its back against the wall. Geschmack, to have this like rubbing massage. And then what happened to the wall? It fell down. The wall fell down. Boom, Berlin. It was in Berlin. The wall fell down, collapsed. The tinfa peres also, or the animal rolled over the peres. It's having fun like a dog, it was rolling over the fruit, and it has a lot of fun. There's a nice soft fruit. I don't know what, some nice tutim, whatever. Yes, strawberry. And now it's not so nice and clean, the fruit anymore. And now that's enjoyment. Regel Gemara, what's the difference between Shen? There is enjoyment, there's pleasure, physical pleasure to the animal from damage done by the damage, which it caused damage. It's your property, and you're responsible for it. Harinami, the toldest too, just like the actual eating actually fits all that description, though that parameter. Harinami, so too, so too when it's rubbing its back against the wall, exactly the same. It's having great fun by rubbing the back, and I'm responsible, and it's my money. So why should there be a difference between the tolder and the Rav? Remember, don't forget, this entire time, this underlying message all the time, we are in search of that mysterious Av Nezikin whose tolders are not like him. Says the Gemara, that's not the one. Ela told the Shen. Kishen must be the tolder of Shen, is exactly like Shen. Rubbing yourself against the wall, meaning Bessie rubbing its back against the wall, and Bessie eating the vegetables is exactly the same. Same nezek, same payment, same parameters. The Chikam of Papa. So what is this mysterious line of Rav Papa that said that some told us are not like their avos? I told her the Regel. Maybe he spoke about the Tolda of Regel. Now we're going to go to search Regel, and believe me, that would also be futile. Tolda the Regel Mai. What is the Tolda of Regel? What's Tolda the Regel Mai? What's the Tolda of Regel? Hezika begufa derech hilucha. As he was walking along, the animal, he was mazik with its body. An animal that just, shoves itself, walks through without saying, excuse me, please. Some people do that too, unfortunately. They push their way through. And that's unfortunately what happens in big crowds. But animals do that. As he was walking along, he was just pushing with its body, not pushing on purpose like the Keren. Stam, walking innocently. Bese'oro, derech hilucha, with its hair. Yeah, let's say the mane of the horse. Yeah, something got stuck to its hair. And as he was walking along, the hair somehow, I don't know, made it fall, rubbed against it, destroyed it. Shlif is the burden. The animal is holding a burden in its back, carrying a burden, and the burden knocked into something as it's walking. The which is a muzzle on the mouth. The bell on its neck. So these are all toldos of Regel. Regel means walking innocently, just walking. As it's walking, it's mazik. So the feet are not the only part that's walking. It's the entire body and the burden and the mazel tov. And also the bell, all things are very nice. Just like Regel is commonly mazik. It's done commonly, and it's your property, and you're responsible. Haninami, those other derivatives of Regel are the same. They're exactly the same. Give me one good reason why walking and trampling with your feet, the animal's feet, would be different than with a muzzle on its mouth. Ella told the Regel keregel. Must be that's not the case. The mysterious case, that mysterious case in which the told is not like the father is not about Regel. We're searching now. Regel is exactly the same regarding the Father and the Son and the Holy. The Chikam of Papa told the Bo. Rav Papa talks about Bo. Maybe let's keep searching. Maybe Bo, which also has its father and Torah. Bo is a pit that was dug in Rashus Harabim, in the public domain, and there's a father and a son, so to speak, there too. A father and a Torah, an Av and a Torah. Maybe there will somehow manage to coax up some kind of difference between the father and the Torah, and we'll see. Maybe that's what Rav Papa spoke about. I'll give you a secret. I'll tell you a secret. No. That would also be a futile exercise. That will not be the place we're going to find the mysterious Tolda that's not like the Av. Yeah, that surrogate father is not this one. Ella Tolda the Bo. Tolda the Bo, my. Let's explore what's Tolda the Bo. When do you have a father of a Bo and a Tolda? So what's the case written in the Torah? The case is V'chi yichre ish bo. Yeah, let's say a person dug, a person karabo, a person dug a pit in the middle of the street, very nice, so smart of him, and he forgot to cover it. Very responsible, amazing. Sounds like some iriot in some places in Israel, they would do that in certain cities. Yeah, and they dug a pit, they forget to cover it or to put any kind of fence around it. Mazel tov, and surprise, surprise, my little Shepsele fell inside, boom, and died, boom. So the person, Baal Bo, is chayiv. Okay, the Bo is not something owned by him. He doesn't own the street. But the Gemara says later on a famous klal, a famous dogma, that says that even though the Bo is not yours, the Torah made it as if it's yours for chiyuv. The Torah Kilu alleges the board to you, connects the board to you financially for all the bad things, not the good things. It's yours for the responsibility. You can't say, it's not my pit, it's a street, it's not my cow, or my show, or my fire even, it's just a pit. Can't say that, mister. It's considered as yours regarding the liabilities. So now, what's Avana told her? Ella told the Bo, I knew. Exactly where do we see a told of a Bo? Ilema av asora v'toildo tisha. Oh, it says in the Gemara later on that Chazal highly assumed, Chazal were Yored B'sof Daika Mekdosha, they realized that a bow whose depth is 10 tefachim The bore that's 10 tefachim deep, that bore of 10 tefachim, what about it? That can kill. That can kill an animal. If an animal fell inside, then we'd say 10 tefachim deep. 10 tefachim is what, about a meter? Let's say tefach. Tefach is about an amma and a half. So that is, an amma is half a meter. It's about a meter, about a meter long. Yeah, meter deep. Yeah, I think so. Asar tefach is about a meter. And then this asar tefachim, the animal fell inside. Boom, he died. The person is chayav. And when the Torah talks about bo, the Torah says the follows. You can look inside the pasuk. Chaf Aleph Lamedaled, if you want, it's very Chaf Aleph Lamedaled. It says, Ba lebo shel kesef yoshiv lebe'olov, v'ameis yeloi. No, there's another pasuk actually I'm looking for. No, lo mishane. V'ameis yeloi. It says something about mace. The boar spoken about in the Torah is a boar that someone died in. So that is a boar of 10. And the boar that's 9 tefachim deep, if an animal was injured inside, we say it's your fault. But if an animal died in a bore of 9 tefachim, we say that's not the bore's fault. If the bore is only 9 tefachim deep, I don't know about 9.5, it's also discussed. But let's say it's one level higher or lower, which depends from which side you're looking. So 9 tefachim deep, that's not a lethal kind of bore. That's not the kind of height that would kill an animal. Maybe you can say tiny poodle, maybe. That's also a question. Let's say a normal, I don't know, ox or a buchamor, they would not die from 9 tefachim, 10 tefachim they may. So if it's 9 tefachim and they were injured, you're chayav. 9 tefachim and they died, you're potter. This will be extensively discussed, I promise to you, later on around the afternoon. But this, let's just take this now as how Chazal view it, and that's a fact. So now the Gemara wants to say, wait a second, here I have an Av and a Tolda, because the Torah speaks about a boar that can kill. And that boar is 10 tefachim. A boar of 9 that cannot kill but can injure is a Tolda, because it's not written in the Torah, right? Av is one written in the Torah. Tolda is not in the Torah. The Torah says, V'hamesi Eloi. Yeah, the dead corpse will belong to him. The dead corpse here, that's 10 tefachim. The boar of 9 is not a lethal boar, it's a damaging boar. And that's not mentioned in the Torah. In my book, it's called Tolda. So here you are. You have 10 Av and 9 Tolda. Says the Gemara, Loi tes ksivi. Yeah, Loi tes ksivi. V'lo yud ksivi. Yeah, it's not true. Neither 9 nor 10 are written. Outright mefurash, it doesn't say 9 nor 10. It's just Chazal's ideas. Says the Gemara, no, haloi kashi, it's not what I meant. I know it doesn't say in the Torah 10 tefachim. By the way, the Torah never ever talks about shiurim. Shiurim sizes and measures are completely halachim shemesinai. They're from the Torah, but they're the oral part. They're a Torah Sheba'al Peh tradition. It's not written in the Torah. Kazais, Beitza, all that is not mentioned. So, of course, it's not in the Torah. But it does say, Hamesi Eloi, it does talk about a killing, a lethal kind of bow. And now, the Kim of Rabbanon, line starts with the Kim. Rabbanon know, Rabbanon just know, Yud Avdan Misa, 10 tefachim you can cause death, Tes, but 9 tefachim, Nezikin Avdi, Misa Lo Avdi. They only cause death, Nezikin, but not death. In any event, so that's what I told you before. I jumped the gun a little bit. In other words, when the Torah says 10 tefachim, the Torah says Misa, it means 10 tefachim. Mashma, the 9 tefachim, which is not a killer boar, is just a damaging boar, is not mentioned in the Torah. We know it ourselves. That's a different story. It's not written in the Torah. So the 10 tefachim is an Av, and the 9 is a Tolda, because it's not mentioned in the Torah, because it's not a killer one. The Gemara rejects it and says, no, at the end of the day, Ze Av Lemisa, Ze Av Lenezikin. They're both called Av. One is Av for death, and one is Av for damages. What does that mean? Explains Rashi like this. I'm seeing Rashi outside now. Rashi says that's a very, very clear diuk from the Torah. The 9 tefachim is a damaging boar and you're chayiv. When the Torah tells you, the Torah says, no, naughty boy. You created a boar that can kill, and Chazal know it's 10 tefachim. The behemoth died, killed. You have to pay whole thing, whole story. What's the diuk? Let's say it's a little bit above 10, only 9 tefachim. Then you're scot-free, and the animal is going to go completely intact outside the board, gingerly walking out. No. What's one level below Misa or above Misa? Not being intact, being injured. Injured is one level next to death. Yaakov Miktsas Misa is a big yesod in Chazal. Somebody is smashed almost to death. Yeah, injured, wounded. That's really the next door neighbor of death. So when the Torah tells me that the animal fell into the boar that kills it, and then I'm chayiv on the mace, mashma that if the boar could not kill it, could only injure it, and the behemoth was injured, I'm also chayiv. Of course, the Torah said if he was legal and he died, you're chayiv. Mashma that if he was injured, he was damaging to the level of injury, he was injured, you're also chayiv. Elamai, if he died in the bar of 9, then you're potter. Get what I'm saying? Let me rephrase it. What's that? Oh, very North Korean now. Oh. The Torah says like this. You know, if your animal, listen to my intonation, cantillation. When the Torah says, you know what happened? Your animal died. Oh, yo, says the Torah. He died. If it died in a little kind of ball, in a 10 tefachim ball, and then he died, then you're chayav. Mashma, that if he died in the 9 tefachim, potter, because it can't kill, right? If he died in a real lethal environment of 10 tefachim, then I'm chayav. Mashma 9, I'm potter on death. But at the same time, the diuk also works the other way, that if he was injured, there's no ptur. There's no ptur injured. Why? If he died in a way that he cannot be killed, then your shore must have been a heart attack anyways. Your shore was on a very terrible diet. He was ill. Mashenkin injured and chayiv. So indirectly, it is written in the Torah that a 9 tefachim bow that injured the animal, I'm chayiv for. Therefore, it's not called a tolda. When something is directly inferred, from the Torah, by the Torah, that is also called an av. That's av for Nezikin, that's av for Misa. And let me just finish John and then I'll hear you. Ella. So now we're going to find a tolda, and that's going to be more or less a tolda of the bone. Avnoi, Sakino, Masosh, Nichan, Roshus, Arabim, Neziku. End of the Shiur today, before the questions. Avnoi, a person left his stone, rock, he left his knife, he left his burden, his package in the middle of the street, and then people surprisingly walked into your beautiful, above 3 tefachim kind of nezek. You got something dangerous there, something people can bump into, and they did, or let's say the animal did. You chayiv. It's a tolda of bo, just like you dig a bone Roshus Harabim. It's something, it's a stumbling block in Roshus Harabim. So to any other stumbling block in Roshus Harabim, a stumbling stone is also a tolda of bo, but that's not written in the Torah. The Torah speaks about digging, not about placing above ground. Placing above ground is different to digging, but they have the same qualities, the same characteristic. And therefore, you are chayiv on that too, and it's a tolda of bor. Okay, very good. We should have a South African boar, the boars. Again, he's before you. Have a great day, everybody. Question time, and we'll see you later on. See you tomorrow, Mitzvah Hashem. Bye.